Hello, I'm Luca, a 3D pen creator, and today I'll be making Khaki from Five Nights at Freddy's with my 3D pen. This will require a lot of parts and is by far my most complicated build yet. The reason I picked this particular character was because it was very difficult to make, and lately I've been trying to improve my skills with my 3D pen. Plus, the new game came out and there's nothing wrong with a little boost to my views. Now, on to making the side frame, which gets cut into two pieces and added to the front frame. I was very worried about making the face. It's very complex. Usually I can just slap the side profile on and the face is close to being done. I will admit to you guys, I've only played Five Nights at Freddy's like once, and when it was really popular and I had no idea they still made games, I looked at it and it still looks as creepy as it did when I was a kid. I was really worried about making the face because it's very complex. Usually I can just slap the side profile on and the face is close to being done. Here I need to build it up from scratch. While filling in, I was carefully looking at a photo to make sure I was building the right parts up and keeping the right parts low. Once this part was done, I moved on to the hair. To connect the hair to the head, I just used a long piece of filament, filled the filament out, and then blended it in. Since Khaki has braided ponytails, I made sure to add extra filament because I needed to carve them out later. And to make the braids themselves, I kinda just made two ovals on each side over and over again. The face is looking pretty good, and now to finish creating the body. To make the sleeves, I first removed the ones I made before. Then I used a lighter to melt the filament, followed by using my own finger to make the holes for the sleeve. To make the sleeves themselves, I just make two long rectangle blocks and melt them into a circle. There's so many different ways to make things with the 3D pen. That's why I love using it. You could have made these sleeves so many different ways. Then I use the lighter again to connect them to the body. Now for the ribbons on the sleeves, I made the same rectangles as before, but I cut them into different sizes. To make them round, I'll be using a screwdriver and of course a lighter. I use a lighter a lot. It was just a matter of sticking them on, slightly burning my fingertips, and adding them inside of the sleeve. Next up are the accessories Khaki has on. Khaki is an animatronic, and since I'm judging strictly off the pictures, some things might be a little off, so this neck might not be the most correct. Speaking of the neck, all I did was make a line, thicken it up, and attach it to the circle. Turned out pretty good. To make the hat, I made a series of triangles, cut them up, and then connected them to one. Next step was rapidly spinning the filament around to fill it in because it's fast and easy. Finally, adding a tiny little ball on top. And for the ruffles on the bottom of the hat, I figured it would be easiest to make circles and then use a screwdriver to lift up the filament. Unfortunately, I deleted the wrong video for the first time in 49 videos, so here's how I made the arms. Now, back to me filling them in. I also put Khaki together to check the look of everything because I was very nervous. Next up are the hands. To make them, I made two palm parts and connected them with an oval. This saves me from filling in a large amount. Next was filling in the basic frame and lifting up the filament where the palm is. I decided to make the fingers the same way I made the hat to guarantee they were around the same size. I tried my best not to fixate on making everything look completely perfect, but it looks visually off. I will attempt to fix it. And I ran out of filament and I'm back to the green color. I feel like this color suits me well. I added all the fingers to the hand and filled in the frame. Looking at the reference photos, I forgot to add the cuff to the sleeves, so I quickly made them. Now that all the parts are completed, it was time to smooth them out, and of course I started with the face. Removing the jaw from the face is step 1. Step 2 is adding the holes for the eyes. This looks very good, but to make it look even better, I'll be opening up the head and fixing it from the back. But before we get to that point, I'm just admiring the face, like I made this. How cool is that? To make the braids, I just followed the lines I made earlier and flatten them. Now I'm back to the eyes because it's time to tear the head apart and smooth out the eyes from the back. The teeth were very simple, squares. I stuck them on and I filled them in. I also didn't forget to add the lines to the teeth. I decided to make the lips separate when I made the face, and here they are. And finally, the part I've been waiting on to put the face together, it's the clown nose. The part that I knew was going to be difficult to make was the face. Adding this tiny line to both of the eyes was a pain, but I did it, and you know what? It sucked. The eyes are just really small and skinny ovals that I filled in and thickened up. I placed the eyes in the eye socket and filled the back with filament. And to make the line that's on Jackie's face, I made a line. It was finally time to put the skull back together. After spending all that time perfecting the face, it's time to smooth out everything else. The hat was very annoying because of the peaks. I'd smooth it out, then I mess it up, and then smooth out the other side and mess it up. To add a bit more detail to the sleeve, I bent some of the ruffles in opposite directions. Then it was time to sand. To fill in any gaps, especially in the hat, I'll be using a wood filler. To me, it's much easier than trying to make everything completely flat, just using a soldering iron and regular sanding. This is also way less toxic than the Bondo car filler I've been using in the past and easier to spread around. This works a lot better for bigger problems. I didn't know what I was in for sanding, especially the arms, but it was a lot. Every time you use a wood filler, you need to spray with the primer filler because you can't paint dust. I sanded it off and now it's time to paint. I started with white paint that I diluted with water because the vast majority of the clown is white. Once I had a nice base coat, I used the blue to paint the eyeliner. I used that same blue for the sleeve, and to make it look dirty, I mixed the blue with black. I did the exact same thing with the hands, dark gray on the palm and on the fingers. I want this to look really dirty, used, and broken. We head back to the face to do all the makeup. I'm really happy with how the face turned out because I'm very bad at painting. I made the red eyelashes separate and added them on with super glue. Then I painted the teeth white. Don't ask me why I didn't paint them white before. I painted the arms orange and just like before, added some black. Then I had to manually add all the black lines. I used a cotton swab to add the circles on the hat so they were perfect. I painted the neck with a metallic silver paint and also added that metallic silver to the cuts. I painted the eyes with a dark green, followed by a lighter green, Then that same dark green for the pupil. The red paint got the same dirtying up as all the other colors. Then I went around the whole body adding some blood spots, and I quickly made a voice box out of a plastic cap. To bring everything together, I'll be using a black wash. This just means I'll be covering everything with a mix of black paint and water and wiping the majority of it off. The final step was gluing all the parts together. My table isn't completely flat, so when I did a standing test, it didn't really work. All I needed to do was move the arm a tiny bit. To do this, I melted it with a lighter, but to make both arms look the same, I went ahead and added some burn marks to the other arm. That's it. Goodbye!